Hello, this is Sun. I reviewed Mondly for courseware review, and I chose this language learning tool because it offers lessons for 33 languages, including less commonly taught languages such as Bengali, Catalan, African, and etc. So let's start with technical preview. I focused on accessibility of the tool. So Mondly is an app-based language learning tool, and it operates both on Android and iOS operating system. So language learners can use this app with any mobile devices they have. Unfortunately, Mondly is not a free app, so learners have to pay about $10 a month or $48 a year. The second part of the review is operational description, and I reviewed the flow of lessons and items. Mondly is a typical language learning app, such as Duolingo and Babbel. So it consists of drill activities that are very repetitious and then patternized. But it has a unique function called language learning activity called Chatbox. And then it facilitates learners to practice their expressive skills such as speaking and writing. So among the criteria for reviewing courseware suggested by Hubbard's article, I chose user input, input judging, feedback, and help options as review criteria for Mondly. And the part that is not underlined is the review for drill activities, and then the part that is underlined is for chatbox activity. Okay, so let's start with user input. User input characterizes how the learner responds to explicit or implicit prompts from the program. So in drill activities, learners can respond to the prompts by using drag and drop, touch and order, swipe, multiple choices, and in the chatbox activity, learners can record their own voices or type their responses. Input judging. Input judging describes the program's procedure for handling their users' input. So for both drill activities and then chatbox activity, judgment is very simple. It's either right or wrong. The feedback part, feedback is provided to the user learner by the program as the result of the input judging. So in drill activities, feedback is very explicit, but it does not provide any further feedback on grammar points and new words. And that is the same in chatbox activity as well. So feedback is very explicit, so learners can understand right away whether their response is right or wrong. And in the case of chatbox activity, that explicit feedback is manifested by like common utterances for utterances that people use for clarification or ask for like repeating the utterance, such as pardon, please repeat, I don't understand. Lastly, help options. Help options means that the app provides explicit and then in-depth explanation about grammar and the vocabulary. And help options in Mondly are available all the time, but it is rather global than contextualized and targeted. In chatbox activity, it provides multiple options to respond to initial utterance, but it does not provide any other information about like cultural context or why this particular phrases or idiomatic expressions are appropriate or not appropriate for this conversation. Okay, so so I will demonstrate how chatbox activity in the app works before I move on to teacher fit and learner fit. So this is the default page of Mondly, and then there is a activity called chatbox. And there are several different like conversational situations that learners can choose, but unfortunately for free trial, you can only use
안녕하세요. 안녕하세요. 안녕.
use this like a greeting situation. So once you click it, you can like listen to the initial utterance, which is good morning.
안녕하세요.
And then you can always listen to it again by clicking this icon, and then these are the two options suggested by the program. So in order to respond to this initial utterance, you can choose one options, right? So, and then press this button to record your voice. 안녕?
이름이 무엇입니까? 제 이름은 입니다.
Okay, so yes, the conversation continues, and then this is the only option given by the program. So this time, let's use chat instead of voice recording. So you can type
당신을 만나게 되어 기쁩니다.
안녕하세요. 만나서 기쁩니다.
당신을 만나 뵙게 되어 반갑습니다. 안녕하십니까? 당신을 만나게 되어 기쁩니다.
Okay, so these are the three options given by the program, and this time I would like to say something that are not within those three options. So we'll say something like 저도 기뻐요.
반복해 주십시오. 당신을 만나게 되어 기쁩니다.
Okay, I'll try something else that are also not from those three options. 저도 기뻐요. 만나게 되어서.
소음 때문에 당신 말을 잘 들을 수 없어요. 당신을 만나게 되어 기쁩니다.
Okay, so yeah, like the feedback is pretty explicit because you didn't follow those given options. And it is very interesting that the feedback is kind of resembles what people would say in actual conversation. So yeah, that part was interesting. Okay, so let's go back to our PowerPoint. So in terms of teacher fits, contents or can be easily incorporated into curriculum because it's very applicable to everyday life. Types of learning in the app, it's mostly audiolingual method. So the grammatical structures, idiomatic phrases, and vocabulary are very repetitious and patternized. And it does not have any feedback on phonological level, considering the fact that Korean language is phonetic language. The app provides both exercises for both receptive and expressive language skills, and the app uses multiple modes for learning materials such as images, sounds, and virtual reality and augmented reality. So those two options you can only use when you pay for the app, and it seems like those two options are also depend on what kind of languages you're learning. Okay, and in terms of the conversation, that chatbot activity, some of the colloquial expressions seemed a little bit awkward and inappropriate based on native speaker intuition. Alright, so let's move on to the learner fit. So again, content, because it is very related to everyday life, so it is very applicable. And in terms of the skills, I think the tool itself is good for practice and pronunciation and building vocabulary and phrases. Proficiency level, the app is claimed to have three 3 levels, beginner, intermediate, and advanced, but because of the, as many typical language learning apps do, I think the app is better or the best for beginner level. Okay, so learner interest and preferred learning style, because the app contains multiple modes for their learning materials. So I think it kind of encompasses multiple preferred learning styles, and it also documents learner's learning progress, such as user time, daily learning streaks, number of learned vocabulary and phrases, point system. So if you complete the exercise without any mistake, you earn higher points. And you can also compare points with other users. In terms of cultures of use, because Mondly has the same or similar structures of other language learning apps, so I think it is not difficult for language learners to use this app. And VR, AR thing, I could not actually experience that, and because it is kind of still new to many learners, I don't know if those two particular functions are familiar to learners. Okay, so implementation schemes. Using the app, teachers cannot monitor student learning process, and it is better for beginner level to practice basic grammar structures and build vocabulary. Therefore, I think the app is better as homework, so that teachers can effectively utilize class time for the communicative approach-based language learning. And because there is a little bit of social function, such as like adding other users and then see how many points they got, so maybe perhaps adding classmates as friends in the app could hold each other's accountable, and possibly like enhancing motivation, like by comparing your points with their points, and also comparing the time you used to you spend to learning language versus time your peers spend for language learning. And students need to know basic structure of the app in order to use this app effectively, but I think it's not a lot of problem because the structure itself is very intuitive and easy to understand. Okay, so lastly, pros and cons. For the pros, the app is very intuitive, so it is easy to understand and actually like start learning. And the app provides lessons for less commonly taught languages, and because it's mostly consists of drill activities, there are abundant vocabulary and grammar exercises, and it contains various content themes, and it tracks learner progress, which enables learners to actually see their learning progress, which might motivate them to learn more. And then it also addresses expressive skills, even though it's limited. For the cons, it can be like drill and kill learners' motivation. And AR and VR, I don't know if it's effective for language learning. And it's subscription-based, meaning that learners have to pay, and then it lacks contextualized feedback, so it just provides generic feedback on the vocabulary points, structures, phrases, and vocabulary. So this is it. Thank you for listening my review, and see you guys on Friday. Bye bye.